What's up, everybody? You doing all right? All I can say, whatever you think you're gonna hear, you're probably gonna hear something different. And I'm gonna just say the reason why you all almost just messed me up telling about that story about 5 times, and I'm a man of faith. I believe in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. You don't have to believe in that. That's I just tell people that, and so it's yeah, that hit me a little bit hard about business and some stuff I've been going through. I'm sharing some stuff, but I'm a business owner going through business owner stuff. Right. So it's not easy. It gets better when you give it to the Lord. Amen. So I'm gonna just share that. But yeah, so we're here to talk about funding, business grants. This workbook has a lot of stuff in it, so it's not going to be like we're going to follow it. You can open it, take a look at it. But I want you to say to yourself right now, write down this 5K. Right? You can write it on your workbook. You can write it in your phone. I don't care where you write it. Put 5K, and then below that put 10K, and then put, let's do 50K. Let's do 100K. Let's do 500K. Right? Now let's do 750K. No, 750M. Sorry, 750M, because I just saw that yesterday. That's what I want to do. So the question I have for you is, I want you to be thinking about these numbers while I talk. All right. And what would you do if you got 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, what I got, 100,000, 500,000, and maybe 750 million in a grant? I want you to be thinking about that. Like, what would you do with that? Or what impact would it have for you, for your business, for your life, for your community? And the reason I'm not a good numbers person. My wife her background is accounting, but I put that down there because I used to teach in a program, and they used to use like a game. What would you do if you had all this money and people couldn't even spend it? They wouldn't even think about using it because their mind couldn't imagine it. So I want you all in this think tank, and as you go along and think about grants, like, imagine what would you do if you had what you needed to do, right? And so the reason why I say that is that I'm a person, and we're gonna talk about funding, but right, there's a little bit about me. So I was born in Queens, New York, and to 2 parents that had struggled with mental illness, and so my father was a street entrepreneur, also called a vendor in New York City. So like come up with so many businesses sometimes, and I remember one day it was nice outside, like today, and it started raining. It wasn't supposed to rain that day, and he's like, "Yo, all these people are getting wet, right? They getting like, I should do something." So he ran into the wholesaler, bought umbrellas, and started selling them because he saw people were getting wet and they was getting their clothes. So I got the entrepreneur, itch from him. He showed a lot of people entrepreneur. So I spent some time in the Army National Guard. Joined when I think I was in the 11th grade. Finished 11th grade. I started, and I did 6 years. I went to Johnson Wales University in Rhode Island for business. But before that, I lived 2 years down in Virginia, Newport News, Virginia. So I always loved the South. My family's part of my family from the South, Nash County area on my mother's side. And I'm like, I got to get back to the South, right? And so I went to school thinking I was going to get to the South earlier. I got here 2021 full time. So moved down here in 2021. So, and then my wife and I, we were like, before we move here, we're going to buy a business, find a business. So we're putting offers on businesses, trying to get a retail business. She loves shoes. We thought we was going to buy a shoe store. Great that we didn't buy it because during the pandemic it closed because most of their sales were in person. So we decided Little Caesars, a franchise. So we bought a Little Caesars December 2021. Then we bought one in 6 months after that. So that's just a small sliver of my background. But I share that with you all because um, probably some people in this room, I did not come where somebody gave me money to start a business. When my father passed away, he didn't give me money. He didn't have a life insurance policy. He didn't have a house. So I share that because sometimes we think where we came from, we can't surpass what we haven't seen. Right. So I want you all to be thinking about those numbers. That's why I gave you those numbers there. Right. Because if somebody would have told me I will own a franchise when I was younger, I knew I wanted to do business, but not a franchise. And so, when was the last franchise you ate at? Anybody remember that you ate at? Anyone? McDonald's. All right. Wingstop. Huh? Chick-fil-A. All right. All right. Anyone know of a different franchise besides food? Instant Imprint. Somebody said Foot Locker. What else? Real estate, right? It's a franchise, right? So I share that. I got this knack now. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be talking about stuff that y'all gonna be like, yo, this guy's like, sometimes maybe like his thinking is like could be off the wall, but I've been around off the wall, big thinking people lately, and so I was tired of starting and stopping businesses, right? And so I'm like, we got to buy something. I'm around all these business owners. I'm coaching them how to, mostly what their business thought. These people are making a lot of money, or they're making an impact for their community. So it was like four of us, but we had two companies. Nonprofit, I worked for, piece of it for profit. And so I would go out, say, hey, you want to start a business? We'll give you money and we'll give you training. 85% of my pay was paid by a grant. And so if I didn't help people out, I wasn't gonna get paid, right? So, and every month I had to fill out that grant application. Every year we had to submit it. So I'm like, hey, the government is giving people grants to help out business owners. So I just got this knack, right, to help people out with business grants, economic development. And so that's how I got into this grant world. But just recently, over the last 12 months, really feel comfortable helping people out. So who can access grants? Anybody can access grants. Has anybody received a grant before for their business, nonprofit? Yes, I know you all, right? All right. So business owners, nonprofits, startups, entrepreneurs, people can receive a grant. You can receive a grant. Now you have to figure out how do you access a grant, right? So we'll talk about that also. So this is the definition of business grants. And so what's good about this workbook too was, and I'll talk about it later, about having goals, right? So you want to have goals, like it has here. What's the vision for your business? Because that's going to help you when you apply for grants also, right? Having a vision for your business. And so what you want to do is that you always want to be in a process of growth. All right. If you're not growing, there's no reason to give you a grant, or unless you're trying to survive, in which COVID, a lot of people receive grants to survive. And some people use that now. So business grants, this is my definitions. I didn't pull it off of Wikipedia or anything. So these are funds or services that you receive, but you don't have to pay back. All right. Funds or services that you receive, but you don't have to pay back. And so let me give you an examples, because everybody knows they want the money. How many people you want the money grant, right? Just be honest, right? Rather get some money for your business in your pocket. But then I talk about other grants. There are grants that you might not receive the funding for, but you receive a resource, right? So I talk about those grants also because people forget about those opportunities. So like I just paid an attorney. He kept the fees low, which was nice. I was glad about that. And so paid him $500, right, to do some work for me. But if I could have got that paid from another source, I wouldn't have to take that money out of my business. Right. All right. So think about your business as, if I don't have to spend the money, I could reinvest it. Mm-hmm. Or maybe I could hire my daughter, my son, or maybe I could give a donation to my community. So there's like grants called restrictive and non-restrictive. So one's restrictive means that you only can use the grant for this purpose. All right. And then there's ones that they'll give you the money and then you can use it for whatever, or you tell them this is what you're going to use it for. And so you need to know that, right? Because some people like, hey, Karriem, like I'm trying to start my business. I'm trying to get a grant. And I'm like, well, let me see what you're trying to do. Well, I'm trying to use it to buy a van. And then I'm like, well, everybody that we might be trying to reach out to help you out might not want to buy a van because they grant might say you only can use it for marketing purposes, right? And so it's the non-restricted grants where you kind of use it for different things also. All right, so here's my credentials, right? People always say like, do you know what you're talking about? Right? I don't like to talk about myself. I'm an introvert by heart, but I love to train and encourage people. And so during the pandemic, a friend of mine's we had a contract with the state of Rhode Island, and we helped over 100 plus businesses during COVID-19. It was on the news. Wolf Speed.
Oh yeah.
$750 million. Yeah.
Yeah, in Durham.
For a grant.
Microchips.
Right?
Yeah.
Usually they do not say that information. Usually if you ever like see it was like incentives, this company's gonna get an incentive, a tax break. I said they's getting a $750 million grant. You know what I said to myself? We need to be asking for more money, y'all. They got $750 million. The plant's not even open yet. So just thinking about that. So yes, 200,000 is great. A nonprofit I helped them get 54,000. My friend runs a nonprofit, and she's like, Karriem, I want to give out coats, and I want to pay people's rent. And she's like, but I don't want to apply for a grant. I said, let me tell you something. I said, I just got off a call. This is during COVID. I just got off a call, and they giving out grants to nonprofits. They need to spend the money in a couple months. I said, it's guaranteed money. So I said, let's fill out the application. So I did, and she got the grant. I said, that's what we're trying to help out people. I said, forget about you. Let's help the people, right? So I do some work with the organization that helps out franchises. I do some coaching for them. A Zoom room is kind of like a pet type of business. I was on the phone with a lady, first call, something like what you said, Darius, right? 30 minutes. She's like, I'm about to hire 3 people. I said, what? You about to hire 3 people? I said, don't hire those 3 people. She was like, what? I need them to start my business. I said, let's see if we can get a grant. And she got a $5,000 grant for each of those individuals to hire and train them. So, and now she's so busy she won't answer my phone calls. It's all right though. I emailed her. I'm like, I want a testimonial. She's like, I'm too busy. I'm like, so it's funny. You all talked about that also, about how do you take care of yourself. I'm gonna share some stories with y'all, right? Right. Another business here, logistics people. This is here in North Carolina. Pull in logistics. I don't always put people's companies' names on stuff. I'm not like that, like other people, put names. But Pull in logistics, they, instead of getting rid of their employees during the wintertime, they're gonna keep them on and train them. So we help them get a $6,000 grant. So in the wintertime, they already got a grant to keep their people on. And so that's here in North Carolina. So this is a letter of, we received the first grant out of this program. I didn't know that until I had a meeting with the people. So it was a $10,000 grant to train us as owners and employees. So I'll show you how to do that also. So how do you get a grant when you don't supposed to get a grant? So we did a mastermind program for 12 months for our business, $20,000. First thing I said, can we get a grant to help us out to pay for that $20,000 training? So I put in the application. They got back to me. I don't think we could fund this thing. I'm like, well, what do you need it to say? We needed to say training, not coaching. So I told the people, put all of your training, all of your stuff together, and they gave us $10,000 out of the $20,000 for a grant. Here's a check for when we got reimbursed because we hire people and then they reimburse us for a part of their pay. So this is one of the checks that we receive for our franchise businesses. So I show that to people because people are like, hey, does it work? Yeah, it does. Right, it does. So anybody heard of this gentleman before, Marcus Lemonis? He runs there's a show called A Profit on MSNBC. He paid for it himself. He never made any money from it. His goal was just to share stories about people. And so the reason why I bring him up, because he talks about people, process, and profit. And so you have a business is run by a person or people, right? You have a process, even though you might not have anything written down, but you have a process. You have a customer, they pay you or whatever. And so you remember you have a process. And then profit, I talk about not just the bottom line, but the revenue, right? And so in business, people look at you of your sales revenue. That's like a big thing, right? How much revenue you making? So we own 2 Little Caesars pizza stores, and so they talking revenue by weeks. So everybody's like, "Hey, that store does 20,000 a week." I'm like, "What are y'all talking about week? Talk about months." In the pizza business, they talk about weeks. So how much is that store generating in revenue per week? That's how they talk, right? And so we got into the pizza business, and I'm doing training with a guy. This is before we closed on the store. He's like, "I'm buying 6 stores, Karriem." I said, "What? 6?" I'm like, "What? Why are you doing that for?" He says, "You can't make that much money from each store, so I need to buy 6 to replace my accounting income." So I'm like, "I'm buying 1." I'm like, "What's going on here?" Right? So then I get the knack. I'm like, I told my wife, I said, "We got to buy another store like ASAP." Right? And so in 6 months, we bought our first store, we bought our second store. So we went from doing what was that? That time that store probably was doing 10,000 a week. We got another store that was doing 6,000 a week. So in 24 hours, we started making 16,000 a week in sales. So I share that with you all because you might want to increase your revenue quickly. You might be able to buy a business or partner with somebody to increase that revenue quicker than you can actually build sales when you market, right? As you all know, marketing takes time, all right? All right, I'm gonna stop there. Anybody got questions? I know I talked about a lot of stuff, right? Anybody has a quick question? Quick question, yes. Yeah.
If you need to answer it later, that's okay too.
It's all right.
But being in nonprofit, right? So first of all, I struggle because my heart is to help, right? So I've always funded or either had in-kind services or private donations for the events that take place. And so I'm trying to move out of that so that I can get more profit-based, even in a service-based industry, right? And then I have another sector that I want to also produce revenue, but it's under the same umbrella. And it's kind of producing a fear because I don't want to, make any violations or cross any tax rules or whatever. But I also happen to have been a high earner corporately. And so I want to be a high earner in my private life as well, exceeding the corporate high earner. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I mean, I want to live like a business owner, right? And,
that's right.
But also I want to be service-based. And so I need some help, like dividing the two and then moving forward without conviction, or not necessarily conviction, but guilt, I guess.
Have you heard of United Way before?
I have.
All right. So United Way, a lot of people don't know this about them. They raise money. They also are like this holder of money for a lot of nonprofits. Right. But guess what they do? They're charging a fee, right, for funds that are with them or they help you raise funds. So the reason why I say that is that there's nonprofits that have that model, right? They get donations and funding, but then they doing fee for service type stuff. That you can still make money. It's a great model. So I have a friend in Rhode Island that they're flipping houses as a nonprofit because there's a lot of I was going back to grants. A lot of restrictions with grants, so they can't use a lot of the money to pay for people. So they flipping houses. They like, I flip houses. I keep that money. I can do whatever I want with it for my nonprofit. Maybe we hire some more people. Maybe we donate some money. So you could do a fee for service. The government does it all the time, right? So government, they might put a grant out, but guess what? You're going to pay taxes. They getting revenue. So one of the things people say, why would a government give a grant to business owners? Well, if you hire people and people are on a tax roll, that's the revenue that the government is going to get back. So at Wolf Speed, I'll give you 750 million because we're going to get XYZ dollars back in taxes. So those are the things that you all want to think about. Like, why people say, why would the government give me a grant? That's what a lot of people have to. They was like, I don't want to do that. They're going to ask for all this information. I'm like, you know what? They're trying to get revenue too. So if they give you money, they want you to perform with something. So that's what you should be thinking about. Like, what's my revenues for my business, right? And then what is it that's going to be? So I tell people, usually nonprofits usually have some donations, some grants, and maybe some fee for services. Because if you just have grants, like after a while, I've seen it, especially in affordable housing, they just cut the grants off and say, we're not going to pay you anymore for certain things. So I would say have a revenue stream. Sponsorships is huge. I'm working with a lady right now when you talk about nonprofit, like she's helping me in the marketing, but she's good with nonprofit. I went to a meeting with her, and the next day I had someone trying to buy services from one of my pizza stores, just because of how she does the sponsorship piece, right? So, but that's a good question. Anybody else before I go for it? I like to take questions. See, I don't like to talk too much. Come on. I know I said so much stuff. Come on. Somebody has a question. I don't care how crazy it is, or it could be a question about business. Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm also an investor in a small real estate company as well, and we're kind of sitting idle at this point because either there's not enough money in our personal investments to move forward with a project, or there's not a project within our budget that we can move forward with. What opportunities would we have to obtain grants for those endeavors when we're trying to also flip houses and improve different neighborhoods and things like that?
Oh, good question. You reminded me about something I want to talk about. You all write this down. CDBG. And has anybody heard that acronym before? Somewhere. All right. Anybody know what it might be?
Community development based grants.
Woo! All right. Community development block grants. All right. I need to make a slide. I think I need to make a couple of slides in my presentation because I don't talk about it too much. But so community development block grants are grants that come from the federal government, usually from an organization called HUD. And HUD sends that to the state, and the state then sends that to like communities. What people don't know is that there's a lot of opportunities with those grants. What happens is that in communities, and I use Clayton, I live here in Clayton, and I always talk to the people. In a community, they decide what they want to use the money for. Or they don't even apply for community development block grants. So every state gets these funds, and some of it they use it for housing, some of it they use it for redevelopment. They should be using it really for entrepreneurship stuff too, in which sometimes they don't do it. So in housing, whatever town or city or area you're in, I'm gonna just go to this question. This is like I need to make money off this question, but I don't know how to do it yet. But this is the money question right here, right? You find in your city, your town, the economic development person, and you wanna do this. You wanna introduce yourself, and you wanna say, "Hello, my name is Karriem, and I own a real estate company, and I'm looking to rehab property in the area. What resources do you have for a business like mine?" And then after that, you shut up, pause, don't say nothing else. I'm gonna tell you, this question right here works. I give it to people, they use it. They like, "Karriem, guess what? Didn't get a grant, but I got some resources." And so what happens is that people that are trying to help people with resources, I don't say grants to these people because they hate it. I'm telling you, they hate it. I talk to government people. I'm tired of these people call me up. They tell me their story about their business. They get on my nerves, and then they ask me for grants. Why can't they just say, "How can you help me?" Because that's what I'm here for. I'm trying to help you as a business owner. I don't need to hear your full story. Let me talk. Because usually people are always, throwing so much stuff on them. And so what they probably would say, "Hey, listen, you know what? We might have an opportunity to help you out." They might say, "Let me see if I could connect you with somebody." And then if you don't hear what you're looking for, you might say, can you tell me a little bit about community development block grants? And they're going to be like, first of all, they're going to be like, what? I usually don't get that question a lot. And you can say, hey, do you have any community development block grants for people that's looking to rehab houses or invest in the community? So that's what you want to do. Everybody needs to use this one. I don't care what type of business you are in. So your city, your town, find an economic development person and ask them this question. All right? Yes.
Is that the $50,000 that certain cities and towns have when you go in to look for financing for houses? Certain cities or towns.
Certain cities have
40,000
programs.
here, 50,000 there.
Yep. Or you might see it in low income rehab. They call them loans or forgivable loans. Mm-hmm. Usually it's like the community development departments are like the ones over that. But they should have funds also for businesses. You know, so the reason why I know that because I've been around. Like I use this one on. No, I didn't use this question, but I was helping a group out in Massachusetts, and they got me on the phone with the economic development director, and I said, "Hey, these black business owners, you know them, right?" Yep. I didn't even know the guy, right? His name was Peter. Peter, you have community development block grants, right? Yes. I said they're trying to start a black business association. Would you take some of that money and give it to them? He said, "Of course." I'm like, dude, I'm like, this whole time these people have been meeting with you, talking with you, and you didn't offer them this opportunity. It's because they could use it for whatever they want. They don't need an act of Congress. They don't have to have a law passed. They can say, all right, you know what? I want to help out DMG Dream Center because they're helping out small businesses. Let's give them $20,000. They just go, they have a council meeting, and we gave these people the money. I'm telling you, if you go and you research in your community about these, you're going to be like, who these people? I didn't know these people are getting this money.
I'll let you know when I come to the next board meeting.
Yeah. Why does so and so get the money and we don't get the money? So like I'm trying to help the people right now in Henderson because there's a lot of our people trying to revive the downtown in Henderson, North Carolina. And I said, y'all got to go to the meetings and be like, hey, what are y'all doing with the community development block money?
So is it wrong to look at, like, I guess I would say when we look at our neighborhoods and first thought of new buildings, new development, gentrification, is it really like people taking advantage of the block grant? Like, yeah, we're going to community development, but it's really they just took the grant and put a home there. And
could be some of it, could be that, could be other investment or investors. So this is what my friend is big time in like affordable housing. He said there's money in low income housing, affordable housing. We are the partakers as renters, not owners. Right. And so like I was talking to one of the gentlemen, they have a big apartment mill they rehabbed over here. And guess how they did it? Right. They went to Apple. They went to these big companies and said, hey, you want to reduce your tax base, right? They're like, yeah, of course. You invest in our project. So they got 70 something cents on the dollar in cash from I think like Apple or something, so they could build rehab an apartment complex in the city. Mm. So you're talking about people thinking big. They're not thinking about doing one house. They're thinking about doing a bunch, right? Mm-hmm. So that's how we got to be thinking about like certain stuff. Like let's go and say, all right, I want to open up. I don't know. Let's just say Flores, right? Monica, you say you're in Flores, right? I want to take that building that's been vacant for, I don't know, 20, 30 years. And I'm going to put my florist in it. I'm going to own it. I'm going to, put some retail in it. And I want you all to help me out with it, the city. They be like, all right. Oh, now I could get tax money back from that building. Because right now I'm not getting anything. It's vacant. Right. So that's one of the things I talk to people about. All right. I think I jumped ahead. But I like questions. Anybody? So, who had their hand up over here? I thought I saw 3 hands. Did I answer your question? I answered your question. All right. All right. So let's go over here to where are you going? So I tell people have a roadmap. Where do you want to go with your business? And then back into it, what you're trying to do. So, and I'll give you an example about this, right? So we were going to buy a underperforming. We bought 2 underperforming franchise units. So we said, listen, how do we get this thing profitable as soon as possible? I'm like, labor's a lot of money. Can I get a grant to hire people? That's how I'll be thinking. Like every time I'm doing something, like, can I get a grant or can I get somebody else to pay for that resource? And so we hired a manager for our first store. He had 5 years experience in pizza, but we still got a grant to hire and train him. So how it works here in many places that they reimburse you back for training and hiring somebody. All right. So you're paying a person $20 an hour. They'll probably reimburse you $10 back for that person's hourly pay, or maybe 75%. So every time I'm looking to hire someone, guess what I'm doing? Can I get a grant? Right? Can I find somebody else to pay for this person? And I'll tell you, I'll be working it. I just rehired a manager. He worked for me 2 years ago, hired him again. I called up NC Works. I'm like, I got this job, right? Can y'all, well, Karriem, you know what? You employed him before. I said, but he's been away for 2 years. He's unemployed, so he meets the criteria, and he needs help. So I got him approved for a grant, right? So there's things that you all could be thinking about, like, what if I don't have to take that money out of my business and somebody else could pay for it? All right. Yes. Question.
I don't know if you're gonna do this later in the presentation.
Yeah.
Can you explain who NC Works is?
Oh, sure.
Clients have NC Works, so it's a very good tool.
So NC Works is our people know it by our unemployment agencies, right? The career centers, they help people that's unemployed. So NC Works is usually the organization here in the state of North Carolina that help the people with unemployment, resume writing, training, but they also give out grants, right? I was just at one of their locations yesterday, like, yo, what's up, Stacy? How you doing, man? He looking at me like, Karriem, come on, leave me alone. I'm like, dude, man, I sent you this young gentleman from the community that's unemployed, that's looking to get training. I want to hire him. You got the resources. What's up? Oh, man, Karriem. I'm like, yo, dude, man, you talking about we trying to help people in the community, and we trying to get people off the street from just hanging out, and you got money and you could be paying them. And this is another piece of the grant. They will pay them directly. There's this grant called Work Experience. They will pay this young gentleman directly for 4 to 12 weeks. So I'm like, I'm trying to train them, but I'm also trying to get free labor, right? So, but I'm helping them out, help somebody else out. But it takes perseverance. Like Darius was saying, you got to persevere, because a lot of times these people are busy. They don't own a business. So if they don't do anything, that's not going to hurt them. They're not going to lose revenue, right? So you got to persevere. So I'm going to show you how to search, and I'll go over real quickly. Well, what was funny? What? Oh, you took over my camera. Hey, what's up? No, I know it does that, right?
Oh my God.
I know. You're like, I don't want to be on your camera, right? So I tell people, anytime that you talk or you present, you should record yourself. And I'm gonna tell you why. So I didn't read a lot when I was younger. I didn't talk a lot when I was younger. And I didn't have the best vocabulary in speaking. I've been trained to be a speaker. I didn't naturally do it. So I was in this leadership program in college, and I had this my Italian mother, I call her my Italian college mother. And she's like, man, I want to help you out. You could do better with your speaking. And you know me, I'm like a black guy, Italian lady. Right? I don't know about that. So she said, nah, I'm gonna help you out. So she's like, I'm gonna call a president. I'm like, president I'm calling president of the university. Brings me in his office and says, these people, I don't know, Karriem, I don't know what you've done with this lady and the faculty, but they said, I better help you out. And he sent me to this lady, and she would record me speaking, talking, and then she would give me feedback. She was like this high level PhD person at Brown. And what I would do was when I was talking, I would actually turn my face, and then my voice would get lower. And so she said, Karriem, that's why people can't understand you, because you turn your head and you lower. So I tell people, if you get a chance and you want to do better with speaking, record yourself. So I always like to just capture myself, get some feedback as a tip. So anything and everything can be funded with a grant, anything and everything. So don't say to yourself, this can't get funded, somebody won't give me money or give me a resource for it, because you can find a resource. I just helped a friend. She didn't get an answer back. So she owns a real estate company, a training company. We helped her apply for, just have a small business center. And a lot of times they have a pitch contest that you could get a grant for your business. And it might just be a couple of minutes. It might not be like 3 days of training, but you could do that. It's called seed groups. So nonprofits have, like, say for instance, if you all decided maybe that might be something, the think tank could be a seed group,
Yes.
right? You all are working together, and then you all might have a pot of money that you got from somebody. And then at the end, you all vote to fund a business or businesses. So a lot of people do that also. You like that, right? Right? And you probably get money, right? And you probably get money for that, right? You probably get money for that. I have a couple of people that's how they receive grants for their business. Especially, I have I call her a friend, but she's really like an aunt. She got like grants because she goes to these C groups in New York, and then they vote on who they want to get money to, right? And I'm like, all right, cool. But I had somebody else to do that too, so you can find some of those. Educational training. I don't know about you. I've spent a lot of money on coaches, on training for my business. There's sometimes you could get a scholarship. So like there's a program called Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses that I used to teach in, and they would give you a scholarship, the 10-day program for 3 months, and they give you a business mentor for 3 months. For free. For free, y'all. For free. For my black woman, you want to look this up. It's called Babson's Black Women's Entrepreneurship Leadership. BWEL is called. BWEL. Black Women's Entrepreneurship Leadership Program. Do BWEL. Black Women's Entrepreneurship Leadership Program. BWEL is called. You could get a scholarship. The 10-day program is remote, and sometimes they bring you on campus. I know the person that's in charge of it, so if you apply for it, let me know. Education programs are huge. Federal, yes.
How often is that?
I think they might run it twice a year. Yeah, twice a year. So
Like local or
it's virtual, and sometimes they bring you to Massachusetts or on campus. But there might be other programs around too. So like in this area, they have like launch programs. They call launch entrepreneurship type programs. They're great. They're really good for startups, not for really people that's high level stuff, But yeah, there's programs that you could tap into, that educational programs for free. So instead of you paying for a coach all the time, you could tap into some free stuff. Yes, Darius.
Raleigh Score.
Oh yeah, Score. Yep.
Yeah. So that's one that's here. That's for anybody. When I was starting out 10 years ago, they hooked me up with a mentor in Philadelphia. Like the couple who had a company for the years, they was retired. So Raleigh Score will connect you with a mentor if they're available. Sometimes they don't have some available, but sign up for Raleigh Score. And they do workshops and stuff too, kind of like this, all the time. And so that's local ones that can help as well.
That's right. Good. That's a good one too. So federal, state, local governments, I talked about those a little bit. Foundations, sometimes foundations give out funding for business grants, for-profits, nonprofits. Like Verizon has a program that they give out grants. I think I posted it the other day. Like it's really hard to get out, and I've been trying to figure out their algorithms myself. But there's some for-profits that give out grants. As I said before, workforce development. These are the grants that I love to help people out because they are one-to-one applications. So when you're hiring people, training people, the reason why I like these because the application is one-to-one, meaning that there's not 1,000 people applying for one grant. It's like, hey, I have a job. I'm trying to hire somebody for this job. Would you approve a grant for it? All right. So I know there's a big thing about hiring people in the Philippines. They're not going to support those, right? VAs is a big thing nowadays, but these are like usually W-2 wage people or 1099s. Like in Wake County, they would help you with a 1099 employee. I didn't know that. I thought it was just wage people. A lot of people don't do that. But if you're trying to hire people, so like like for instance, when I sold one of my franchises last month. Yeah, this is October, last month. So every month I had 30 people on a payroll. So I'm always like, how can I reduce my payroll? I'm always like, can I get a workforce development grant? Or I need to train people. Can I get a grant to train my employees? So let's just say, for instance, Simone. Simone needs to train her workforce. It's gonna cost her $50,000. I'm just saying to myself, 50. That's a lot of money right there. But you know what I say to myself? Can I get some money to fill in the gap for that $50,000 that I need to train people? Workforce development grants, you could use it. So that $10,000 grant that I received, that's what we kind of used it for. Workforce development grants. If you're let's say, for instance, it might be $1,000, $2,000. You need some training. You go to NC Works and say, "Hey, can you help me with a resource?" I say a resource instead of a grant to pay for this training. All right, and they will help you through that process. Right. The goal is that to upskill people. Right. So to get better skills. Yes, go ahead.
In regards to the grant process with, I guess, what is the turnaround? Because you're running a business, you're trying to train people, you need the financing or the resources. What's like the turnaround in the grant process? Like, do the funds become available immediately, or is it like, process?
A lot of the grants like reimbursement grants, right? There's a lot of them like so you put the money out, they pay you back. That's kind of like their way of making sure that you're gonna use it for what you're gonna use it for.
Gotcha.
So a lot of people say to me like, how do I do that? What I do is that I time stuff for like that $10,000 grant. I was working it. I said, if I pay $2,000 on that invoice on my credit card, in 5 days, I'm gonna get that money back. So I would time it like, boom. All right, you need the money when? All right, 2,000. They direct deposit in less than 5 days. I was working that piece, right? But the payroll one's a little bit different. Sometimes they take a little bit long to send you that check that I showed you. Sometimes it would take like 30 days after we submit the invoice. But if you have a process, you're going to get that money back. So like nonprofits, a lot of nonprofits struggle with that. They struggle with, all right, I got a contract with the government in the form of a grant. I'm going to perform the service. I only could bill them 30 days, but then I'm going to have to wait another 30 days to get that money. That's a long time, 60 days. So I always tell people have like a process, like, all right, can we go and find a funder that would give you the money for your invoices so you get some cash? Or do you have a line of credit or something like that? Right. And so there's always trying to figure out a process. Like I say to myself, hey, if somebody's gonna give me money, I'm gonna figure out a way how to get that money. And if I need to front it from someplace, I'll call family like, yo, you got 10 G's, man. Right? You look at your credit card or something, right? Like somebody, right? So one of the things I learned, and I'll share with you all now. So I'm big. If you all know, if anybody that's selling a service business that's not looking for cash, I'm looking to buy a service business. I don't know. It could be a cleaning company. It could be a HVAC company, whatever. So I'm in the process of trying to find business to buy and not put up a lot of money, right? And so,
What's not a lot of money?
Nothing.
Oh, you mean zero.
Zero.
What does that look like?
How do you do that? Hello, how you doing, Candace? Say it again. Candace.
Yes, sir.
All right. How long you been in business?
5 years.
5 years. All right. What's your biggest struggle in business?
Are we just role playing here? What are we doing?
No. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. What's your biggest struggle in business?
Biggest struggle of business is retaining customers.
All right. If I could double your customers in 30 days, would you be willing to work with me on that?
Yes.
As a partner?
Yes.
That might, just like that, right?
Say less.
And then we go on and say, all right, how does that partnership look? Right? So maybe I find clients for her and maybe she makes me a equity partner, or maybe I get a cut of something, right? So the reason why I did that scenario is because I'm going to tell you right now, I see it from the other people all the time. When I go to franchise conferences, you know what they're doing? Like, how can we strategize? Like, all right, you own 20 stores, I own 10, he owns 20. How about we just dominate the whole market? So the person that owns most of the Little Caesars in this area, the one in Clayton, the one in Smithfield, they own 80 stores in 5 states. He lives in Massachusetts. He doesn't visit any store. And guess what? He sold me a store for less than $100,000 in Oxford, just because he wanted to get rid of the store. He gave me a $500,000 business for less than $100,000. Now, yes, I got to do work. I ain't making that much money. It's a $500,000 business though, but just be thinking about opportunities that could open your mind. Like you said, the gentleman Demetrius, right? He reached out to you. Like, there's things that you could do, and sometimes we got to think outside of like what we normally do, right? And so maybe we got a partner. I know sometimes we don't like to partner with people. Man, our people are so tough to partner with. I got a limited partner right now. He's tough, but guess what? He put up his signature for us to get into franchising because I was selling my house, and so I couldn't use my house as collateral and certain. So, but every year, we do taxes. He was like, Karriem, man, I need my taxes done as soon as possible. But when he get that form saying he's a partner and he reduces taxes, he's happy, right? So just be thinking about opportunities. So I did that scenario because there's opportunities, I think, for us. And I heard people in this room that kind of work together, like logistics, stuff like that, government contracting. Who was doing government? You all? Oh, we need to talk. We need to talk. We need to talk. We need to talk government. We need to talk. We need to talk government contracting. I have a lot of connections with that too. Government contracting. But you all are sitting on something that we have never seen before. You have tons of people that's getting wiser, that's looking to get out of businesses, and they don't have nobody to sell to. The baby boomer generation, their kids don't want their business all the time. Right. I have a friend right now. You know what they're doing what they own like 5, they're like millionaires and stuff, right? The kids don't want the businesses, so they shutting the business down, they selling the businesses. And now my friend's like, yo, I need a job. I'm like, yo, dude, why don't you just buy the business? But he doesn't want to be an entrepreneur. So they just shutting down the business. We're gonna sell the assets. We were selling all this money, and so there's opportunities for us that right now is so much of abundance that we should be like figuring out what can we do.
With Little Caesars,
Yes.
Did you have to go through like the franchise training and everything, or was it something different because you bought it from?
Nah, man, 7 weeks. Woo! Now it's down to 5 weeks. I'm mad now. I'm like 7 weeks. Yep. I was in Detroit. It was 7 weeks. So I stayed I will come back for a day and a half. That's one thing. Like, you talking about family, I'm like, listen, I'm coming back every week. I'm flying. I'll be rushing, driving to the airport, get on a plane so I can see my family. Right. And so that was my sacrifice. I'm going to do 7 weeks of training in Detroit. I'm going to fly back once a week. So yeah, the training, I would say I was trying to get out of it, but I agree now why they should have it. Like, especially food. Like, my background's not food, but yes.
So I have a question about that because I actually was going to do a Chick-fil-A franchise.
Okay.
Went through the application process, and but their minimum is $10,000 buy-in. So at the time, I had over that amount, but then when I got ready to go through the actual training that they will have in Virginia, I was at $7,000. And so I kind of backed out because I felt like, well, I don't really have. So are you able to get grants or funding for those types of investments? Like, what could I have done to continue in that process?
Somebody said something earlier, right? You might not have it, but God has it.
This is true. Because Chick-fil-A is God's
you might not have it, but God has it. Let me tell you, I'm gonna tell you right now, you all gonna laugh. All right. Somebody take a guess how much I bought that second store for. Somebody take a guess.
Free.
Ooh, yeah, almost close. So we spent less than like $15,000 to buy that store.
15,000
to purchase, not
Why? Because you was already in the process with that.
Well, when you're in franchising, there's so many opportunities when you're in franchising. So my wife, my wife and I, we went in the office, our home office. We're like, we don't want to buy that store. It's just too much work. It's an hour and 10 minutes away. So we're praying just about everything. Finish praying, we get a phone call. Hey, Karriem, how you doing? It's Patrick. This is the owner, right? Right? I'm like, we were just praying about that, right? But and I'll tell you a story after that. So he's like, I call my person that runs the store. I call my regional people. Nobody wants this store, Karriem. Just pay me the money for the inventory. You can have it.
Wow.
I'm like, what? I'm like, you crazy? He's like, because
Right now, what you going?
right? He's like, because you're gonna need the money when you take it over because it's not making enough money. You're gonna need the money, which we did, right? Because for many months it was running in the red, right? And so I share that with you all because sometimes we might look at our limitations and we don't move forward, right? Somebody was just saying about moving. You got to move. Like right now, I'm like, yo, I got to move. Like I don't have a bunch of $1 million sitting in the bank, but I'm looking to buy a business. Right. And right now I'm not looking to give up any of my savings because I need all my savings right now. So I'm like, I'm trying to buy a business of a business owner that wants to work with me. Maybe they're looking to kind of scale back or maybe they're looking to retire and I can provide a boost in sales or something, or maybe a partnership. Right? Because I can tell you right now, I talk to many business owners. They always talk about, I can't find nobody to work. And I tell them that, I say, oh, that's great. You know why? That's an opportunity for me. Right? Because guess what? I never had to close my store for a full day ever since we've owned the Little Caesars. Talk to my other people. Oh, man, we've been closed for like 4 days, Karriem. We can't find nobody. So you can't find nobody because you're speaking it. You speak that you can't do something, you ain't gonna do it.
Right.
You speak, oh, I don't have no money in my bank account, but I need to market to people. Just start marketing to people. Word of mouth, call them up, Facebook, whatever. Just do it, right? So like for instance, literally, if I wanted to, I could go buy 5 Little Caesars right now, and I could triple my revenue. What I learned right now, I don't want to buy those businesses that they're trying to sell me because all of them take a lot of work. So I need like a premium business. So right now they would sell you businesses that are not doing well. It's a great opportunity because you can get into franchise for less than you could build one. So if you start a new Little Caesars right now, $600,000, you can buy one for less than $200,000. You got to do the work to get it up though. So I just share that with you all because like, we thinking about like, all right, I need to, I'm trying to develop my business. I'm gonna have one location. There's some dude right now talking about he want 50. He's like, I got people calling me all the time. Karriem, that store that you own in Oxford? I'm interested in buying it, but I need like 10 stores. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, man, I need to buy 10 stores, 20 stores. So your one store ain't gonna do me good. Do you know anybody else has stores? So right now, I'm talking to people like, hey, you trying to sell your store? Like, let's put a package deal together, So I want to share that with you all because when I go to Little Caesars conference, the underrepresented population is Asian people and Indians. You see a very small group of Black people there, but that happens all over in many arenas. Just not franchising, but like many businesses. So just think outside the box. And grants is an opportunity to help you grow your business, right? So like Chick-fil-A, like the guy that operates the Chick-fil-A on New Bern Avenue in Raleigh, Mr. Donovan, right? Good guy. So Chick-fil-A is different. So they have a license model. So you have to be the operator of the business, and also you can't have another business. That's the only like downside of Chick-fil-A, but you can make a lot of money. I would tell people, go talk to Mr. Donovan at New Bern. Great guy. He'll show you around the whole place. I called him up. I found him on Facebook. I saw that they were about to open a new Chick-fil-A, and I was like, yo, Donovan, what's up? Can I come by? Yeah. So I went by before they opened up. He took me on the whole tour and everything, and So he's a good guy. If you know anybody who's looking for a job that lives over there, he's looking to hire people. Yes.
Question, how do you find these businesses that baby boomers are like trying to get out of, like all these mom and pop shops or franchises that people that just want to get rid of their businesses? Is there a website or multiple websites, or is there resources locally? How do we find?
So they have how I found my first franchise was Biz Buy Sell. I'm always looking on there. Those are good websites that have a lot of people that issue Biz Buy Sell, BIZBUY sell.com. It's the websites, it's all right. The issue with that, a lot of people are brokers. They're listed by brokers. So some of the research I'm doing right now is like once it gets usually on a market publicly it's like tough sometimes because the broker wants to get paid, even though that you can make creative things. And so it makes it a little bit harder because somebody has a number in mind, but you can still work through that process. So the best thing, what I'm doing right now, like I just did, hey, I'm looking to buy a business from a home service person. So I was in the lawyer's office the other day that does a lot of stuff with business owners. So I'm like, hey, Josh, I'm looking to buy a home service business. So I want him to go and be like, hey, Karriem just came in my office and I know some home service people that's looking to sell, right? So I keep on saying it. Everywhere I go, I'm looking to buy a business. So hopefully somebody comes up to me, like a lady came up to me and said, hey, Karriem, I'm trying to sell my cleaning business for $30,000. And I'm like, ooh, cleaning business. So I start asking her questions like, all right, how many customers do you have? How much money do you make a month? So I start asking questions, right? And it might be an opportunity, it might not be an opportunity, right? Same thing like if you're trying to buy a house, sell a house, you got to look at houses, right? You're trying to buy a business, you got to look at businesses. Plain and simple. If you're trying to apply for grants, you're trying to get grants, you got to apply for grants. Because if you're not applying, you're going to get no. All right. Let me talk about, all right. Yeah, I put this here. I have received many no's. No is just a delay. Just a delay. All right. So the goal is to get to yes, whatever you're trying to do with your business. We're going to talk about this Google alerts later. We're going to show you that. And what time is it, dude? What time do we have?
Yep.
What time is it? 11? Is 11?
It's 11.
All right. So here's some of the stuff that I talked about, but I haven't talked about. Retail space. If you're in a retail space, there's a thing called facade grants. So if I was gonna lease this building, buy this building, and I wanted to put a sign outside, if I wanted to rehab like this area, I could get a grant where it will reimburse me. Usually these are reimburse me back for fixing up the front of the building. All right. In Raleigh, if you are going to fix a space in Raleigh, they have a grant called Fit Up Grant. So if I wanted to rehab this space, I could apply for a grant to reimburse me back for what I have spent. Right. That's what I'm saying. You got to go to those economic development people. This downtown grant, same thing. Every downtown usually has like a Main Street type of grant. So you want to talk to the downtown people. Right. So right now, my store in Oxford, hey, what's up, Brianne? How you doing? It's Karriem. Hey, you know what, man? I need some signage out in front. I know you do. I said, well, I need you to give me a grant. What's up? Like, I can say that now because we talk so much, right? But before, I'm like, what resources do you have? Right? I need the better signage at my facility, right? Marketing is huge. You all are dealing with people, like, you gotta get yourself out there, right? And so I'm always talking to people about what are opportunities for business owners, because my goal is to help out business owners so they could grow and they could get resources. It's the biggest thing, right? So that's what stops us, fear. It's all false evidence, right? It's false evidence. The same person that looked at that vacant house, you looked at it and said, it's going to cost so much money to rehab it. They looked at it as, that's money. That's an investment. Right? Hey, I used to own multifamily houses before. Like, I used to walk in the house and people like, oh, the color is nasty. I'm like, great. We could change the color,
Right. That's simple.
right? We could change the color, right? Hey, nowadays, right? You take a picture, they take that picture and make you look totally different now, right? Now you got AI, and now you got different stuff. So it's fair. That's what's stopping us, right? It's fair. It like you were saying, right? I only have 7,000, right? But I didn't have the 10.
Anything else, I was like, oh, I don't have the money now.
Let me tell you something. I'm good at connecting with people, right? So I see this guy in the newspaper. Y'all be like, yo, Karriem is crazy. I'm not crazy. I just think out of the box. I see this guy. I'm like, he owned 40 Little Caesars. So you know what I do? I contact him. And I keep on contacting his person. He called me and I said, hey, sir, I'm looking to buy another Little Caesars. You just bought 40. Can you tell me your story? He said, well, me and my friends make so much money in real estate. We own the building where the franchises are. So we just want to own the franchises now. So guess what he said to me? He said, next time you got a deal, let me know. I had a deal. He's going to put up all the money. My limited partner said no. I'm like, dude, this dude taking all the risks. He's going to put up all the money. And it's $100,000 like $1 to him.
Right.
But I needed my limited partner to say yes, because I can't sign contracts without him as a franchisee. So you all should be thinking like that. Like, all right, who's doing it in a good way? Could I just call them up? I don't care. They could be Magic Johnson. They could be, I don't care who they are. Like, reach out to them and say, hey, man, can I get like 10, 15 minutes of your time? I do it all the time. I do it all the time, you know, because you never know. That person might want to help somebody else out, or they're like, listen, I'm waiting for somebody to ask me for help. Right? To a point where I'm hot because that person, I think he was so disrespected. We didn't take his money. He won't even talk to me now.
Wow.
He did everything. He set up the corporations already. He was. I was like, oh, you could do that. You could put that corporation and you could flow the money.
Why he say no?
I said my limited partner said
Why
no
did he say no?
because he's not an entrepreneur.
Oh, God.
He's not. He's a W-2. I know what I'm gonna get. I'm doing my job. I don't want to take any risk, and right.
So what risk did he think he was taking if he
Well, he had to sign his name onto something, right? So, in franchising, that's the biggest thing. When you go into franchising, whoever is the partners of the entity, everybody has to sign everything. So, right? You know, but it. Oh yeah, we're still partners. He's about to get off for one of the franchises, but that's one of the things that you got to understand, right? I didn't get mad at him. I consider him a friend, but and now I know his mindset, right? So him and we could talk entrepreneurship. He does real estate stuff, but I know his mindset. So I'm not going to bring him into another transaction where I need to be a little bit risky, right? A little bit risky. Right. So, but what I learned from this was the other thing I wanted to tell you. So, what I learned from this gentleman, he sent the email to the corporate, and he said, "I want the same deal like somebody else has the same deal." You know what he taught me? Just because someone told you this is what you got to follow, when you got the big dollars, you can make your own deal. So the lady responded to both of us and said, we got to roll this back. Like, we got to stop this whole process. And so, yeah. So because he had so many stores, because he had so much money, he wanted the same deal like somebody else that owns hundreds of stores, right? And so what I share with that is that we got to just keep on asking the questions. Like, hey, I would love to get a grant. Can you please help me out and tell me how I could get the grant? Right? So that's what I do. So at NC Works, I have a gentleman there named by Joseph Wilson. I'll share with you all if you're in Wake County. And so I said, Joseph, all right, I'm going to send you this application. You tell me what you want on the application after I write it. And so he sent me an email back. He said, Karriem, if you change this information. So he's telling me how I'm going to get approved.
Right.
So I didn't take that $9,000 grant because I was selling that business. My franchise business. So there's opportunities. But questions. because we got the Google. I'm gonna show you how to search for Google and stuff like that. Anybody signed up for Hello Alice before? .com? I don't think I have it up here. So helloalice.com is a website, and it's just like that, helloalice.com. It's a website started by two women entrepreneurs before COVID, and during COVID they became like the clearinghouse to send out like grant information. So every week they send out a newsletter. It's free. Apply, right? So NC Idea is a good one for everybody. So they do startups, they do like seasoned businesses. I think they do like 5,000. You could just have an idea and be like, I just want to do this idea. And sometimes they give people money for that. They have a $50,000 grant. I think it's like 2 or 3 times a year. They also help you pitch, whatever, stuff like that. Let's see who else. Black Girl Ventures is another one.
I know you're taking pictures. We'll send y'all the slides at the end of
Yeah.
the presentation too.
Black Girl Ventures is one. They have a couple of different grants, but I'm gonna show you all how you find grants too. Let's see here. FedEx has a grant, 50,000.
Yep, you have to use them as a.
One of my friends received it years ago. They do it one time a year though.
Oh,
Yes.
one time, okay.
Yeah. So that's
I've applied for like 2 or 3 times.
yeah. So that's the other thing too. With certain grants, a lot of people apply for it, so the approval rate is very low. So that's what you want to be thinking about. So people say to me, Karriem, how quick can I get a grant? I said, it depends. I can guarantee you that we could find a grant and apply for it within 30 days. The response could be a different piece. So I try to tell people the grants that have like thousands of people to apply for, we can put in for those, but don't get your hopes up, right? Let's see if we can find ones that we could get a quick response, kind of like what you all did that pitch contest. They could give a quick response. So I was trying to send it to so many people that I knew that was in the county. Startup Nation has one. This is the one I was talking to. Well, there's a impact partner grant. So, man, y'all could have applied for this one too for a think tank. Raleigh has a grant. I think it comes out like 2 or 3 times a year. Nonprofits and for-profits. So if you're helping entrepreneurs or you're doing something in the community, you can apply for a grant. And like this one that just passed was for like entrepreneurs. So I was trying to get my friend to apply for it. If I was going to do training for entrepreneurs, I could say, hey, I want to train people in Raleigh. I don't know, maybe we could say artists. I want to train artists in Raleigh, and the grant's up to $20,000. I could apply for it. But so they have grants all the time in Raleigh. They usually have a good robust. Smithfield. Anybody that lives in Smithfield? Anybody in Smithfield, North Carolina?
We don't live
Playing Smithfield, I guess I would say.
If you want to open up a retail location, they got tons of grants in Smithfield.
Do you have to live there or does the business?
Business. So it goes by like business. So it goes by. So yeah, I live in Clayton, but my franchise is in Oxford, or it was in Raleigh, right? And so so the business has to be located in there. Or like with Smithfield, you have to open up the business, and they'll help you with the storefronts. They help you with the rehab, the rent.
Is that just small businesses?
Small business. Yeah.
I was wondering how Target and all those other retailers get ready to come in Smithfield.
Yeah. So small business especially downtown is huge. I just found this one. It's called 15% Pledge Achievement Award. It's by Google, and I guess they work with a place called Crunchbase, but I'm trying to think when it ends. But let's see here. What was it? They're gonna provide $200,000. I think it's the next year. $200,000 to a company. The first runner-up is going to get $35,000. The second one's going to get $15,000. Now, this might be, and it's for Black businesses. So 3 Black businesses. I just took a snapshot, but they had more stuff on their page. So it was the 50% Pledge Achievement Award through Shop with Google. So it's probably, they might be more targeted to online type businesses and things like that. But there's grants out there, y'all. Yes.
I have another question. Market analysis. So for me, my passion is really helping other people, but I also have an interest in revenue, of course,
Mm.
right? So I may want to start a business that I like, a Little Caesars. I'm not interested in, I don't have a passion for cooking pizza, but that will produce revenue for myself and my family. So how do you deal with market analysis, like in an area like Smithfield, where they're giving out money, you can get grants, you can start a business, but what is going to work for that market? What is good for that market?
One, Chamber of Commerce is good. Chamber of Commerce is a good place to talk to because they are usually know what's going to happen before it happens, right? So when you see that Taco Bell, you see that new business built, they were working on that 5 years ago. And somebody just told me recently, census.gov. I didn't know that. The census, and I was just checking the other day, gives you projections on the community growth. I'm like, what? I'm like, get out of here, the census.
That's one of our clients.
Oh, well, for real?
Yeah, NC Counts Coalition.
Okay, yeah, I was like, what? Right? Because I was blown away. I said, the census? Yes.
Speaking of that, NC Counts, if you have a nonprofit, NC Counts does work for the census. They go out. They
For
work
real?
with the underserved, and so they go out and get the count for underserved communities. You can sign up under them as a coalition, and they distribute. They're re-granters, so they get the grant.
Right.
Like they just got $1 million grant from Jim Bezos' ex-wife. I forgot her name. Anybody know her name?
Miss Amazon.
Miss Bezos.
Yeah.
There you go. So she gave them $1 million, and they just re-granted that to everybody who was under their coalition. One of them is actually Shackle Free.
Yeah.
So she's under NC Council. We shot the conference, and so she was there, and so she got some of that money because she signed up under the coalition. So if you have a nonprofit, go to nccounts.org, sign up under it, and if your area needs funding, they'll re-grant to that area if it's a need. So yeah.
See, yeah. I was gonna say about that too. A lot of people forget about like people that receive grants also could give grants, or they could bring you in as a contractor or vendor.
Yeah, right.
So like, say for instance, I'm doing like health stuff, like for the community, right? I want to touch youth. I want to show them how, maybe not to use the vape stuff, and I do training and stuff. They could get the grant, and then they hire me as the vendor under to do the training.
That's what I'm looking for.
All right, so that's what I've done before. Also, like the city of Providence got a grant, and I'm on their website. Like, oh, they give a contract, so I could just go in the community and tell them stop smoking. I was like, sign me up. And guess what I did? I hired somebody to do the work. I didn't even do the work. I just hired somebody and they went out in the community. So there's avenues that all of y'all are doing that somebody else could receive the big contract, receive the big grant, but then they hire you as a vendor, right? And you've seen it, right? And they give the grants out and stuff. So there's opportunities. Y'all, like I said, what are you trying to do with your business, and try to figure out what's the structure and how do we get there, right? What's that next step? All right, who else? Questions, and then we'll probably take a break soon.
3 minutes.
Questions, quick question. I know I dropped a lot of stuff, right? People are like, what? You dropped a lot of information.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. So one wall that I'm seeing when looking for funding, because we're in the process of opening a pediatric dentistry. And a lot of the funding in the health realm they're not towards startups. It's like they want you to be already established, and it's like, yeah, the LLC is there, but the company itself is starting brand new as a pediatric dentistry. Like, how can we kind of break that force field, or what route could I take?
So I would say, health is huge. Like I keep on thinking, like, what can I do in health? I always be thinking about business. So that's the other thing too. I'm always like thinking health is like a great opportunity because there's a lot of resources for health. So I will contact whoever's the community liaison for the Department of Health. All right. Because those people are usually going out to the community, or they know the organizations that get the money, get the grants. Like I had a friend in Rhode Island. I thought she was like she just went out to the community and talked to them. I was like, she giving out money, y'all. I'm like that. So I'm like, Angela's giving out money. That's what I'm like, Angela, you giving out money. Why you didn't tell me that, right? But she would go out and be like, I don't know. She probably will find like some of the organizations you were talking about. She said, hey, we got a grant for I don't know, youth sports, right? And then she might say, hey, I know a coach that does youth sports. You hire them as a trainer and they give it to the nonprofit. So I would talk to that person and say, hey, this is what we're trying to do with our business. What resources? Don't start with a grant. What resources do you have? Because they might have resources that might be not a grant, but could help you to get something. You know, maybe it might be equipment, or maybe it might, might be a service, might be a partnership, right? Because the health stuff, they usually do a lot of resources. So I tell people like, hey, if you're starting a senior care home, if you anything with health, it's huge. Trying to getting people to eat better, talk to the health people because they're giving money to somebody, and those people have to perform programs. So like you might have a nonprofit that says, hey, we're gonna give you money for children's health. Now you might go to that nonprofit and say, how about let's do something with pediatrics or teeth for teaching family better stuff.
So we wanted to, because that was something that we talked about as well, as far as getting the mobile trailer to come into the neighborhoods to do like free cleanings and everything and pass out toothbrushes and whatnot. We could find a grant that possibly provide the equipment or the funding.
Oh yeah, that's huge. Somebody just in Henderson got a $40,000 grant from T-Mobile to buy a van to collect IT laptops from companies.
Oh, wow.
They just collecting the laptops. I'm like, what? 40,000 for that? I said, okay. So those are things like that, or it might be a for-profit company that wants to sponsor you to do something like that. Like I think when I was up there, Chick-fil-A sponsored a mobile van for some nonprofit. So they got their logo on the side, and that's how they get their money. So it might be sponsorships type of stuff also. All right. Yes.
One thing I want to highlight too is the fact that every time you mention a grant, you say a name. It means that you build relationships. Just want to highlight to everybody. Make sure you're building relationships.
Yes.
Even long before you don't meet somebody and be like, hey, you got some money. Sometimes you meet them, build with them, and then an opportunity might come up. Sometimes you meet somebody and they got something for you, but
that's right.
Build those relationships. The fact that you remember the name that's attached to a grant you did in this state, this in that county, whatever. That means you build relationships and you got a network that can help others as well.
That's right.
Y'all go out and build, and that's in that packet I give y'all. Go outside.
That's right. Build.
Go to events, do events, sales, like do brand awareness, spread out what you do. Don't just sit in the house, be online behind a computer. Build relationships. That's what got us a lot of places where we at now. Is we didn't have a website for 5 years because we just networked and word of mouth, and like we just got a site that was done on camera. So that's important. That all these people by first name basis. So just wanted to let everybody know that. So start building that before you even need it.
On top of that, now like you were talking about, like the technology is huge. So like I work with like 3 people in Houston, right? So the second person that called me, I said, "This is the person you call for the grant." He was like, "How you know that person? You live in North Carolina." I already talked to them. I already said, "Hello, how you doing?" I use that question. What resources do you have? I say, "Here's their email. Here's their information." So you still could do it like remotely too if you're not in that same area. Yes.
So is like startup money, is that different from, is that like, is there a certain way you ask for that, like you want to start up a business or get, for your overhead, to get started?
You would say that same question, what resources do you have for a business like mine, to let them answer? So anyone that's in Wake County that wants to start a business, I can tell you right now, you get $1,500. $1,500. They give you in $500 increments. So in Wake County, they have this program called Pathway to Entrepreneurship. So when you're ready to incorporate, they'll give you $500 to incorporate your business. Then when you're ready to do your website, they give you another $500. And then when you're ready to do marketing. So there's stuff out there. Now it's just like you got to find out where it is, So versus where I hear a lot from people is like, hey, I'm trying to start my business. I'm a veteran-owned business. I need some money. I heard there was grants. Like the person was shut down. You just say, what resources do you have? And you might not even say that you're a startup. You just say, hey, I have a business and this is what I'm looking to do. What resources do you have? And then let them fill in the blanks, because sometimes they might automatically like deselect you from certain things, So I was like, let them fill in the blanks. That's what I do. Like I do it all the time. I went up in Grandma County, Mr. Joe Star. Hey Joe, how you doing, man? It's Karriem. Hey, Grant, what resource you got, Joe? Well, Karriem, And I'm like, all right, well, I need your help on this. Can you help me in the county to put pressure on my landlord to help me out to get some more resources? So it might not be in a formal grant, but it might be resources or something like that. So, yeah, people do it all the time. We just missing out. Like somebody here in town, somebody bought a building for $1 from the city.
Yeah.
Right?
Equally.
Yeah. And I said to the person, well, why are you not buying buildings for $1? They was like, Karriem, leave me alone. I'm serious. They walking up to the city and saying, I want to buy that vacant building. Give it to me for $1. We should be doing the same thing. We should be doing the same thing. All right, we're gonna break, right? We're gonna break, and then after that, we'll do Google search alerts.
$1,000 in Jesus' name.
Right, there you go, right? So what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, let me show you this real quick. All right. So my friend his name is Google. It's free. And I use Google a lot of times to get information about business grants. All right. So what you all want to do, has anybody heard of Google Alerts before? Yes, Google Alerts.
Okay.
All right, cool. So if you go to google.com/alerts, you could set up, and this is AI, even though I don't call it AI, but you could set up automatic searches for yourself for anything that you want. Now, I learned this when I was taking a class when I was trying to get into more articles about business. And so I didn't even learn this about grants, and I started using it for grants. So you go google.com/alerts, and I already have some alerts set up already. And so I have some for my name, because when I used to put my name for our business articles, they don't tell you all the time that you've been in the article. This is how you will find out if they cited your name in it. So like, I'll just show you here. So this one I set up for business grants, Alaska. Anytime that you search in Google, you want to put the year if you're looking for grants or something active. So you always want to put the year because you're looking for up-to-date activity. So I have this one set up here for business grants 2024 Alaska. And it will search, it will send it to you as it happens, once a day, once a week. I usually do it as once a day. So, and I'll show you my email where I get all these. And so you can ask if you want news, books, or whatever. I just say automatic. I want everything. If you had a different language, I usually keep the region, any region. It asks you how many results, only best results, and it would say where do you want to deliver to? Your email, usually your email. And so if I just scroll down, this is what he's not messing with me. This is what the search. So I could say, let's see here. What you said, Dublin? Dublin, DU. Right. If I really wanted to get like really technical. And so, yes, it might not show a bunch of stuff, but you can have it and it can search for you automatically, right? So let me just get in. I'm gonna show you on my main email and how it looks. So Google Alerts. And what's nice is because I get a lot of clients from all over. So this is just one here I have one search for North Carolina, right? So every day I get automatic search for this one. So what I would do was just like scroll through it and say, is it applicable for me? Is it for my business? Or is it something I can help out business owners? So like let's see, North Carolina awards technology innovation grants to 80 small businesses. So this is someone receives the money already, but guess what? I might still be able to call one of these people and say, hey, you got a grant. Do you want to work with me or can I get some of the money? So it just gives a lot of information. They gave out 816 grants. So this is like grants that have passed. So I just take a look at stuff. So let's see here. This was a big one. I sent it to my wife about childcare. Like they're talking about how there's not enough money that was granted from the legislator for childcare facilities, right? So it's a huge thing, but maybe I'm a person that serves childcare facilities, right? I don't know. And maybe I say, call them up. Hey, I hear that y'all not getting enough money for grants or something, but maybe I'll provide a service. So some of the stuff, it could be used for your business. Like you might want to search for certain things. Pickleball courts, right? Put it in there as a search. Let me see if I can find Department of Health. Yep. So I'm just trying to see if I can find something that's applicable for people. So let me go back and put my. So I'm just trying to show you how it comes into my email. So let me go and put it so I can show you some other stuff because I know. So yeah, so I get all types of stuff here. Business grants. I have one just for business grants 2024. So we talking about rural communities, right? Governor Cooper announces 22 grants for rural communities to attract 140 new jobs. So if I was in a rural community and I'm trying to see if I can even find who they gave it to. Oh, here's the counties right here. If I saw one of these counties, I can make it bigger. If I am in one of these counties, guess what I'm doing? I'm calling my county and say, hello, how you doing? I see that you just got XYZ dollars in grants. This is for rural communities. Right? So this is what I was talking about, the grants, and it's coming to your county. They're ready, like in Pitt County, they got a $500 grant will support the renovation of 521,000 square foot building in Greenville at this facility. So just think about it. That whoever owns that company went to the county and said, can you give me a grant? And they included them into a grant proposal.
To create 908 jobs.
294 million.
Right? So that's how stuff works. They going straight to the county, and the county is submitting to the Sampson County facility. So this is one of the things you could look at. So say for instance, I don't know, let's see here, was that Richmond County, 400,000 will support reuse of a 105,000 square foot building located in a manufacturing facility. So if I was a construction person, I'll probably be calling GP Portable or whoever LLC and say, hey, do you need services? Because you're gonna get a grant from the state and the county. So this is another way to find out if your county got a grant for certain things, and you could go to them and say, hey, remember that question I had? That question, use that question. Hey, can you tell me what resources you have? And then if they don't tell you about something, you just say, well, I just saw you just got $50,000 to help out small businesses, and I'm a small business. What's up? So this is what I sometimes use with clients and help them out to navigate talking to people. So, and that's from my Google alert that I have just for business grants. So you should be setting up a business grant. I mean, a Google alert for yourself. You can make it for your county. You can make it for North Carolina. You can make it for I'm a woman-owned business. I'm a Black-owned business. I'm a restaurant business. And then you can kind of see what pops up. That's going to help you reduce the time that you spend just searching for grants because you're getting stuff in your email now. All right. And now you're just trying to figure out like what's going on. Right. Let's see here. If there's anything else that's. Yeah. Because sometimes what happens, like I have a client I have 2 clients in Maryland. And I'm like, hey, I just found out there was a grant in your neighborhood. Let's have a conversation. So now I'm showing them value and now maybe I can re-engage them on some more services. So that's what I do with if I have clients that I'm working with.
So let me ask you,
Yes.
what takes place in the sense of you're reaching out to these departments or these people to say, hey, what resources do you have? They're not letting you know they have grant money or they have a grant.
And that's why I wouldn't say grant.
Yeah, of course, grant. But
Yep.
you see, okay, they just got awarded. They were just, awarded in the grant, but they're not trying to be forthcoming with any type of information towards real money for your business. How do you work around that? We're in North Carolina. Let's just be honest. We're in North Carolina. There's a lot of counties out here that still go by a olden way, I would say.
Yep.
And they don't want to invite us into the same rooms as them. How do we get around that? How do we pivot around that? How do we? Hey, how you doing, Mr. Armstrong? How can I make them see? Okay, I'm a business owner. I'm serious. I know that money is there. Let me in.
I always say one of the things like the people in Henderson, they got a guy. They're like, he's the guy that goes to the city council meeting and beats them up. Okay. So I said, so Mr. Blake, y'all send Mr. Blake to the city council meeting and beat them up about community development block grants for entrepreneurs. Because they haven't been doing it. They didn't even know about it. And I'm like, what? Y'all don't know about these grants? It's like, no. I said, well, send Blake, because everybody know Blake is going to bring up the community issue. And then you all just be there and let him talk. And then you go and say, hello, Mr. Mayor, what's going on with this money?
And that's what's happening in Denton County, because I'm with the NAACP, and they have an economic development committee, so I've joined that committee. And now I'm finding out about the economic development meetings that they don't tell you about as public as it can be. And then you go as a group of community leaders, so you're not by yourself. Because I don't want to be
that's right.
Or whatever that word. Yeah. I don't want to be singled out that they don't want to do business with me. So we go to the meeting on the public forums in a professional manner, present who you are, ask about these grants, because now Warsaw had to list
all that information.
So you have to go in a public setting to bring it public in a professional manner so they can still respect you.
Yep, as a group. And so you find, so like the same thing like in my friends in Rhode Island, they call me all the time. It's like, oh, she did it again. And I'm like, guess what? Don't get mad at her. She's one of the black leaders in the business community. I said, she's the bulldog. Let her go out there. She's going to do it on her own. And then y'all come behind her and then say, hey, what's going on? And you're going to get money. So it's like, yes, we might be upset about how somebody does it, but they might be that avenue to put people on Front Street, right? So it helps out everybody, even though their tactics might be different. But if it's public money, just like I showed you with it has to be, they have to put it out there somewhere. Okay. And then that's where you say, hey, can you tell me what's going on with this? And then, like you said, you have that coalition of people. They after a while they can't keep on putting stuff under the rug. Okay. Let me see if I can find something else here. So I got stuff for mental health. Just because I wrote a book about mental health, and sometimes I see if I could get on the speaking circuit, with that. So LegalZoom, this was just recently. Somebody got $500. This is passed already, but LegalZoom gave out a lot of grants recently. And so I might put this as a tickler, right? So I might know, all right, September LegalZoom gave out grants. Maybe I'll have it on my calendar for next year. So I can apply for it. Let me see who else if I can find. So that's what I usually do. I usually go through it quickly. So people that have been affected by the two storms, I pushed out information to people, especially like disaster relief. But let me see if I can find something that that pops up here. As you can see, I got a ton of alerts. So if I was in Florida, if I was a business owner, you can apply for assistance. Same thing here in North Carolina. So I was push it out to my brother that's in Florida, push it out to people. So that's another thing too. It might be an opportunity where you can help somebody else out, that you see something that another business owner needs help. Let's see if there's anything else in here. I can see that quick. So this is just helps you real quick to look at stuff. All right, who wants me to search for a grant? What type of business?
Well, I'm looking for a water sewer system grant for back home because that's why we don't have the big businesses coming back.
That's exactly right. Especially in Kingsville, because farmers and agriculture, they don't want to get their, they don't want to pay taxes.
I'm looking for a water grant or a funeral home grant.
So I just put in real quick sewer infrastructure grants, and what's the first thing that came up? Community development block grants. So, and this is related to kind of like the emergency funding, but if they funded it now, they might be funding it on an ongoing basis, right? So it seems like the Department of Environmental Quality might be the people to talk to, right? So might be trying to find a contact who's in your county and use that question on them. What resources do you have for what we're trying to do? And right now, environmental stuff, anything green, it's like that's huge. Anything green, like if you call yourself a cleaner company using green products, is huge. Like I just learned that a couple of weeks ago. That's like right now they have like 27 billion that's coming out to the United States. So anything green, solar, cleaning, making sure you keeping stuff out of landfill. So if y'all have businesses like that or know people, that's a huge opportunity. And it might just be like changing what you're doing for your business. So this one came up for environmental quality. So I would say checked out with the DEQ environmental quality. See, they keep on popping up here.
What if I bet you
Yes.
think about features of business? Excuse me, Monica's floors, like if the materials that you're wrapping, like the
That's exactly what I
bouquets
was
in,
thinking,
are like
yeah.
recyclable or something like that, or made out of compost or something.
Biodegradable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially for grants like it's like the new social economy and being friendly. A lot of them like people to say, hey, how are you going to help out your environment? Well, I'm using this type of wrap, or I'm not throwing away a lot of waste or things like that, So let's see, water, who's this? UNC School of Government provides grants to local. Let's see who's this here. This is a PDF. So yeah, environmental quality, see? And they have contacts. So that's the other thing too. So like if I find a contact for somebody, as you can see, so like community development block grant, infrastructure, water, sewer, and they actually have a contact, provides grants to local government units to address water and wastewater infrastructure. So like this lady, Julie, she might turn out to be my best friend. Hey, Julie, how you doing? First of all, they don't get a lot of calls probably, some of these people, right? Like, hey, I'm just trying to get some resources, So it seems like the quality people, see, just look all the types of, let's just look at all the stuff, drinking water, cleaning water, right? And the purpose of the funds.
That's a great PDF just to have.
Feasibility grants, right?
Tell me that link. And what's disseminated out to the group?
Sure. Let me see if you pop up. I'm gonna just put it in my email so I remember. Send it to myself.
Who else need a grant?
Who else wants me to search for something? Who else wants me to search?
Your startup logistics.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, buy like extra transportation equipment, cars, and cars. Yeah,
Stuff like that.
Stuff I use to drive.
So I just put real quick, logistic transportation grants, medical. See if I.
Transit, federal, stationary grant.
He's in Fayetteville, but he's transporting Fayetteville area, and there's nobody really on the Beacon County side.
He just got some new vehicles, I think. Didn't he first?
He has 5 and they're paid for.
Yeah, so this is for community. This is for like usually transit systems. This one, but you might also go to the transit system and see if they have any equipment that they're looking to get rid of. possibly, or maybe partnering for medical, right? So maybe partner with medical. So this is like USDOT is probably going to give it to these counties. So might be talking to the transportation person. So see grants for buses and bus facilities. So it's mostly probably transit systems, but you could talk to them. Maybe they might be, you become a vendor and they slot you in to get some equipment. Let's see if we find some other stuff here. Innovative transportation grants. I don't know what this is, but let's click on it. Foundation transportation grants. Let's see who you're giving money to. It helps you pay for transportation to and from activities that improve your health. I'm saying, right? Look, right?
I'm just saying, if I go to the gym 3 nights out the week, I submit my mileage and my steps.
That's what I'm saying. That's the stuff like, hey, like
That's the kind of partnership, for those people get those fundings. Like when I was sick about 5 years ago, I would call up there and they would ask me, do I want gas to run my vehicle, or do I want somebody to come pick me up and take me to them? So that's the services that hopefully within the next couple of weeks I'll be partnering with the county services.
Awesome. Yeah. And reaching out to them, or just imagine you talk to somebody, they don't have the ability to pay you. Say, hey, I found the grant that they're going to give you a $500 prepaid card. They're going to keep on calling you back for assistance, Isn't that something? Look at that. I didn't even know that. Pan Foundation. Never even heard of them.
Can you send that over to her as well?
Yep. I put it in the I'll send it over to her too.
I have a sister that was that's going through some things.
And I can help folks out, right?
Well, she had a stroke and she
wow.
actually a transportation vehicle
Wow.
to help her
To
go
help her back and forth.
because she has a wheelchair now. So I want to get more information about that to maybe be able to help her go back and forth. That's going to improve her health.
That's
She
right.
can't travel
Wow.
with her wheelchair in a regular car.
That's right. So she needs a assisted type of vehicle.
Okay.
Let's see here. National Center for Mobility. So this one is done. Yeah, this looks like that was for DOT type stuff. But that's how you will find some of the stuff. Medical transportation grant. Let's see what pops up here.
That's with the Southwest.
Southwest. Oh, hey, look at that. Medical transportation. Round trip tickets for medical transportation. Southwest. See, I'm like, Google, man. Google's free, y'all. Google's free. And you can set up an alert for certain stuff. So they provide transportation for people for medical care, life-saving changes. See, they donated free transportation. Didn't even know that. All right. So there's stuff out there.
North Carolina.
All right. You just probably at hospitals by states, probably you contact the hospital and see, I guess those are the 2 hospitals that they gave money to or work with.
So I got a question.
Yes.
Before you start filling out the grants, what should you have ready available?
Oh, that's good. That's good.
We filled out one for NCI deal, the Engage grant. A few months ago, I had sat down and did our business model. I was able to pull from that business model to answer a lot of those questions. And so we had a lot of stuff already done. What should you have just as a basic standard when you're going out for grants to make the process faster?
Good. I didn't go over that. That's a good one. So this is some of the stuff I tell people to have in one place is business financial records. Maybe it's in a Google Drive or some drive or in one place. If you're looking, if you're doing the workforce development grant, if you have payroll records or anything like that, information on a business bank account, employee identification number. I just put separate business from personal as much as you can, even though, whatever. I just put that up there. But what was the other thing? So also, I think on my link tree, I think I have a thing there where I have a free Facebook community. In it has files, like you could download a free template where you could kind of put all your information, EIN number, or your address. So you just copy and paste it. So a lot of times when I apply for grants, if it's for my business, I just copy and paste. So my address is the same, my employee identification number is the same, the name of the business. So it makes it easier to do stuff. Now, let's talk about applying for grants. Depending on the grantor, they make the rules. It might be an application. It might be you got to write up a lot of stuff. It depends. So like with the pitch grant that you all did you have to make a business plan?
We did a pitch presentation.
Did you have to write up a business plan? Or
we had to do use of funds, kind of like
all right.
Things we want to spend the money on, and it had to be something that could be done by the end of the year.
Okay.
Because they want off the books by December.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So think about it. Their grant piece wasn't that extensive. That's why I like business grants too. Sometimes it's not as extensive as writing a nonprofit grant where they want to know about your mission and they want to know who's on the board and who you help and testimonials. The nonprofit grants could be a lot. Business grants sometimes are usually very condensed, or they have an application and you just fill it out and it's not like you doing a lot of write up stuff. So I would just say and then also like I said that piece about know where you want to go. If somebody's helping you out with your business, they're gonna ask you, so what are you gonna do with your business? I give you this money, like, are you gonna it's gonna help your business out? Or if you don't have an answer for that, you probably won't get a grant. Like, if I'm gonna give you $20,000, tell me what you're gonna use it for. How's it gonna impact your business? How's it gonna grow? Or you're gonna get money, like you say, for water infrastructure. How's it gonna help that building out? So I tell people, listen, why you want to apply for grants? If you don't ask, you will never receive. All right. If you don't ask, you will never receive, y'all. So you got to be asking. You got to be in the asking game. Just like you want a customer. If you're not asking for a customer, you will never receive a customer. If you were looking for a sale and you don't ask for the sale, you won't get the sale. Right. And so here's some of the things. If you get funding, it will help you increase your cash flow. That's one of the things I tell people. Like we looked at those things, right? 10,000, 5,000. Just imagine you find a grant, you get a $5,000 grant. Now you could take $5,000 and use it for something else for your business. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's for paying for a marketing person. Maybe it's paying for a coach. I don't know, right? And then asking, what are you going to do for your community? I'm like, well, my goal is to help out entrepreneurs. So. But good question. Anybody else has any other questions? Let's see here. I'm trying to think. Let me show you some places. So hello, Alice. I'll go back to hello, Alice. So this is hello, Alice. If you all haven't seen it before, you can sign up for that newsletter and then you click on funding. It will just tell you like so they do have stuff about growth opportunity. Let's see if they have a new grant. Sometimes if they have I don't see any grants right now for them, but usually they will have stuff up there. Let's see, Verizon, small business. This one,
it's hard to get.
Yeah, it's hard to get. But they say they're giving out money. Verizon small business. Yeah. Some of them, some of them could be very, very intricate. This one, they just came out with this one that says they're gonna give $10,000. Digital Ready, that's what it's called. Verizon Digital Ready. I'm a part of it. I did all the things that they said to do, but it still hasn't let me apply for a grant, so I don't know. But somebody's getting the money supposedly. But it's like it's called Verizon Small Business Digital Ready. You all could take a look at it. You have to do like courses. You have to do a coaching thing for that. So that's Verizon. I'm trying to think who else is out there that has something. Oh, let me see. I'm gonna try to see if I can find something I could show you all. Oh, Amber Grants. Has anybody heard of Amber Grants before? No. A lot of people is listed a lot of places. When I tell people about Amber Grants, I don't know if anybody has won one yet, but they ask you for a fee, and I tell people usually if somebody asks you for a fee to pay for a fee, you want to be very cautious.
Your fee becomes the grant.
Yeah. During the pandemic,
My money, give me some money.
a lot of businesses that look like us got scammed. So if anybody has ever tells you that they could guarantee to give you a grant, it's a lie. So somebody said, "Hey, pay me a consultant fee for $5,000, you get a grant for $100,000, run away fast," because nobody could guarantee to get you a grant, especially if they're not the grantor. So people can help you write a grant or find specific grants, but so this one they do charge an application fee. I tell people just.
So you're saying it's all right to pay somebody to write the grant for you, like
Yeah, pay or help you out. So like what I do with people, I help them out to find a grant, answer the questions, or coach them. So like one gentleman, I was on a Zoom call, he's on the phone, and I'm like, because I already know what he's gonna say. I said, do not say what you're gonna say, because they're gonna tell you no. So he started talking. I said, shut up, Ben. Stop. Like he's like, oh, I'm gonna hire this person. They're gonna do. I said, shit. And so the lady's like, I don't want to help you because you telling me this person has all of these skills. And so I'm like, Ben, just be quiet. And then she's like, oh, now I can help you. So it's like sometimes it's coaching people, and then sometimes I use AI to write stuff. I'm not a grant writer, so I use AI to write stuff. Let me go back to
I'm gonna use the word develop 16 times.
I know, right? Let me show you this one. Pathway to Entrepreneurship. This is the one I was telling you all about in Wake County. Let me see if it pops up here.
When it comes to someone looking for a person as yourself and to get help with grants, what do you look for? Because anybody could put in their bio like, hey, I've helped millions of people get grants and things of that nature. What do I look for when I'm looking for someone as yourself?
I would say, hey, do they have testimonials? Do they have and that's the reason why I show hey, I received grants before. That but I'm gonna be honest with you. This has taken a lot for me to come out and do, because I know that a lot of our people have not been getting the right services. So I'm very, very even today. I'm very I had a cousin. I was on the phone with him, Zoom call the other day, and he's like, Karriem, I'm like, I might be able to help you out. Let me see first, and I'll get back to you. He's like, but nah, Karriem, I want to sign a contract. I said, dude, man, I don't want to do something, and now you think I could get you a grant. I can't get it for you. I said, I'm not helping you out. I said, so maybe there's another avenue I can help you out, and it might not be grants. So that's why I like to tell people. So I would say ask the people for references, see if you can call it references and see but I would tell people I like to work with people's done with you. So you got to do the work too. Mm-hmm. I'm not keeping your financial information. I'm not keeping your bank account number. No, nope. Because so many people have been scammed during COVID because they were like, oh, I'm going to do everything for you. And then they go take your information and they do whatever they want to do. So I tell people you got to do work. So some people are like, I don't want to do it. Well, do something else. Because it's huge. Your employee identification number is important. Do not give it out to people just your banking account routing number. Don't give it out to people just because. Even when you're applying for grants, if the first page says, I want your EIN number and your employee identification number, your EIN number, routing number, and bank account number, you want to be thinking about that.
Well, your EIN number is public information.
It sometimes is, but it's.
You gotta search for it.
You gotta search for it.
Yeah, you gotta. But I wouldn't give it out to people just because, I have a sole proprietorship for my coaching business, and it's not my social security number, it's a EIN number. Mm-hmm. just because I don't want to, because I'll be signing, documents. Hey, find this W-9 form so I get a payment for a check. I don't want them to have my social.
Right.
So I tell people, keep as much as you can, keep it very, keep it to yourself. So people don't have the opportunity to take stuff from you. But that's a good question. Somebody else had a question? Other question. All right. So this one is for Wake County. If you know anybody in Wake County and they're a friend or not a friend and they've been thinking about starting a business, they have this called Pathways of Entrepreneurship through Capital Area Networks, and they will give them $1,500. So I just brought that up because I know some people be thinking about starting businesses that haven't done it. Capital Area Networks also, I think they might be all over the state, but NC Works. So if I go here and click on businesses, let's see, business services, it would tell me all the things they do for businesses. So they do say grants here. I don't know if everybody, let me make that bigger. So if you're looking to hire or train people, this is a place to go. NC Works. And see right there, grants for new businesses, actively hiring businesses and more. So they say right there, they give you a grant and they give up to 50% reimbursement in wages during training. So if you're hiring, you would get reimbursed per hour up to a certain amount of money. So these grants usually, they're about like $5,000, around that much. But if I could get $5,000 back after I hire and train an employee, that's money back in the business, right? So, and this is another one, grants to train employees. That's the one I got, the $10,000 grant. They have it all over. So even though it says Wake, Johnston County, Chatham, Lee, every county has a workforce development organization. So like Vance County is Cartar agency, but all of them work on the NC Works. So that's 10,000. I mean, and the big businesses are getting it all the time, right? Let's see what else they got. Oh, the other thing they do too. So if you're hiring people, you could go and get them to put it on their website, and it will go to Indeed and all these other places. You don't have to pay no money to Indeed, y'all. Resource, right? I talk to people and I'm like, how much you paid for Indeed? I'm like, woo, that's a lot of money. I'm like, so NC Works. They'll post a job on their website. They'll post it on Indeed and other places. The other thing, they could give a person a free business counselor. So when I hired a person that was with a grant, I already knew this person was already not too great of an employee. So when we had issues, I say, counselor, please work with her because she calls out every Thursday. And it was like, we're going to work with her, right? So we worked with her until she quit. But, I'm just not doing the, right? For real, she quit, right? So I'm telling you, it was, I was like, why y'all, I said, don't put her on the schedule on Thursday no more. She going to call out. And then she quit. I said, but guess what? I got reimbursed 75% of her pay since she was there. And they continue to help the lady out, right? And still to this, I sold that store, but she will come back after. It was like, Karriem, can I work back here? No. And I was like, no, just because of how she was treated, right? But so I like to give people second chances. So that's why I use these programs a lot for people that are teetering too. Mm-hmm. Like, folks in our community need some help. So if I could get some assistance, knowing that they might leave, at least I'm not out all that money. And I spent like 2-3 weeks training them, and that person leaves now, you spent all this time. So that's why I'll try to use these grants also. Let's see what else. Anybody, my trades people. Y'all need to own a trades business. So if you hire for a trade, plumbing, HVAC, whatever, you can get them to pay for equipment for you.
So if I
tools.
Real estate development company, or like,
if you have an employee, you use a grant on a job training. You could say, hey, they need a testing equipment or something. What? I was like, yo, for real. I was sitting here, I was having a conversation, not here, but I was having a conversation with two guys in a meeting with Capital Area Networks, and some ladies over there saying, yo, we could pay for tools for people. I said, what? I said, what's your name, man? She was like, what? I said, you said I could hire somebody and you're gonna pay for the tools? I said, where can I buy me a home service business?
And so, for instance, like with logistics dispatching, I have my trucks on the road. If I need truck lift or anything for my diesel mechanic, we could get the grant for the equipment.
Possibly. She said trade. So she said trade. So you maybe you might be able to push it and say, listen, hey, I need a GPS or I need something to train them.
Okay.
So so that's the stuff I didn't know either.
Okay.
Right? Like, but that's huge. Drivers are huge demand. But that's what I'm saying. You talk to these people, so you want to talk to your business service rep. If you, for NC Works, Capital Area Networks, any workforce organization, you want to talk to the business service rep, right? And you want to ask them, what resources do you have for a business like mine, right? And they're going to ask you a bunch of questions. But so yeah, so this is, I mean, this one right here is like huge. He's like the resources, the services. I actually connected with them, and I got three people working at my business for free from Job Corps. Wow. For free, 4 hours a day, Monday to Friday. I'm not paying for that labor. So just by talking to them, I say, yo, man, I need some help with labor. And one guy said, well, you need to call Job Corps. They're 20 minutes away from your store. So there's opportunities, y'all. We just got to think creatively, and then how do we access opportunities for ourselves? Because the big businesses are doing it. Apple, Google, Amazon, they getting the money.
Where are you meeting these people? Like the conversations.
I'm a connector, man.
We're giving money. Where do you meet these people that say?
One, as I said before, like from my background, I already know some economic development stuff, right? So sometimes I just reach out to people. I'm like, who's that? The contact? And then like one time, like this guy, his name is Joseph Wilson. He works for NC Works in Wake County. He came to a chamber event. Oh, I beeline to him and I say, oh, how you doing, Joseph? What's going on? Do you need help finding businesses? Oh man, I'm always trying to find business owners. Because guess where he's working from? His house. He's not in the community trying to meet us. He's working from his house. So he was just happy that somebody's going to help him find business owners. So he called me on vacation, probably last month. He has $8,000 to help our businesses. Hey, my friend's real estate company, right? And then so what you want to do is connect with people. So that's what I do. So I want to pull up a Rolodex and say, hey, you know what, Joseph, I got a customer that needs some help. Can you help them out? Versus just saying, hey, I go to the website and, on top of, I also, I don't give this away. It's my secret system. I have a Rolodex. Anybody know what a Rolodex is? It's your contacts in your phone. So I have the contact for every single organization like this in America. People can access it for free, but I'm not giving that one away. That's my secret. That's my secret thing. So when people say, hey, I'm working with people in Indiana. Oh, I'm trying to get this grant for so and so and so. I'm like, all right. As soon as you sign your contract, I'm gonna send you the contact. So
I just want to put in a plug real quick.
Go ahead.
While you're doing this and traveling and training and talking and connecting, I am certified through the American School of Etiquette for social networking.
For real.
So if you have some clients who need some skills on social networking, yeah.
Cool. You need to be doing some presentations. If you go to some network events, man, people they be scared. Ooh,
Right.
I don't even want to know how to introduce myself.
Right.
So speaking to on the connect, how you know people, it compounds. So even if you go out for a grant, you don't get it. You can get so many contacts from just the pursuit of it. Last week when we got the grant, again, it was 10 businesses in the room. The people who lost, they just stormed out, kind of was mad.
Wow.
And there was people in there who had access to money The guy said he was on the board for a company that does 50 million in grants a year.
Wow.
And so they were so upset, they just, as soon as it was over, they left.
They left.
We over there connected. Now we about to do a website for that same guy.
Wow.
He got his own company and his website sucks. It does. And so we already know how we can help. Also, he gave us the information about the conference that was coming up, the NCI deal. And we left there, and even the judges that judged the pitch competition, we got all their information.
And
So,
one of them is the owner of Seven Springs Winery.
Wow.
In
Yeah.
Orlando.
And so it just compounds. So if you got the network, even if you don't get it, keep the contact, keep the relationship, and don't just reach out when you need something. Just say, hey, how you doing? You doing anything I can help you with? So I get a guy a website for free. He got access to $50 million. So I can bite the bullet on 1,500 to get more. So it compounds on each other, but you gotta talk and and I'm an introvert, but I'm like, all right, I gotta connect. I got a Rolodex, people like Karriem, Kira, and Roger, everybody out there saw these think tanks. It comes from compounding networking and meeting people and building relationships. So I do something for Karriem. I shot at Ronja's grand opening. I did a lot of stuff with Ronja, but it's compounding over the years that we build these relationships. So you never know who's gonna be in what position one day. And so they might be a intern now at one of these grant places. They might be the director next year. So you just never know.
That's right. That's right. I'm gonna get up to tell you the story, but this is what you want to ask people: who can I connect you to, with, or whatever? So I've been using that lately. I got that from my one of my coaches. His name is Bill Davis. He runs a program called 100 Days of Abundance. He's a retired guy in the 70s now, and so he's like, use that, Karriem, instead of trying to get business from people. So it's been working. But I was at an event in Henderson, North Carolina. I've been spending a lot of time up there since it's close to my store, and they're trying to do a lot of stuff. And so I go to this pitch contest for business owners. And I'm like, there's not a lot of people in here. Like, yo, what's going on? Is the event happening? So I go to the lady. Her name is Heather, that runs the Gateway Center. And I said, hey, what's happening? There's not a lot of people here. You giving out money? She was like, yeah, I am. I got 4 grants and I have 4 people pitching. So everybody that presented got money.
Wow.
Everybody. And I was like, man, I was trying to think about pitching. I was like, can I sign up? So like Darius saying, connect with people, because you just don't know. Like, yeah, there might be an opportunity where you think a lot of people are applying for it, but only 4 people. I said 4 people.
Here's the whole process. They get
and they got money. Yeah, and guess what? They pitches were like, hey, my business is, and that was it. And I said, they got money. Because they was the only one to sign up. So always connect with folks. It's important to do that. I think also on my QR code, I think I put there, you could set up a, meeting with me. Strategy session. That's what I call it. My grant strategy session. I also have coming up, was it next Saturday? I think next Saturday. I'm gonna try it out. I usually do it at night, but I'm gonna do a master class at no cost if anybody wants to join. I think it was on my link tree also.
Is this virtual?
It's virtual, yeah. It's virtual. All the stuff I do virtual. So I'm gonna try this Saturday versus doing 3 nights, because I've been doing 3 nights for my challenge, and it's just people's time. But usually it gets to that Thursday night, and I'm like, there must be a lot of stuff happening on Thursday, because not a lot of people attend. So,
You want to come to work.
huh?
She want to come to work. So Thursday not good.
Thursday not good, right?
Thursday not
I'm calling out tomorrow, something like that, right? So I offer that to people. And feel free if you all want to get connected to me. But what else? Questions that people have about what I said. Questions about what I said. Things I said. Doesn't have to be related to grants, but
Oh, I do have a
yes.
question. I'm sorry if I cut it short. So earlier you had said that a lot of the grants are reimbursements. Are they like that across the board, or should you look for certain?
Not always. So most of them are, is because they want to know that you're going to do something. Right. Some might be where they just give you the money, I think the the one I was talking about, Henderson, they just gave you the money. You didn't even have to say what you was going to do with it. They wanted you to grow. So it really depends on the organization and what their requirements. Because I say the grantor makes the rules. They tell you what they're going to do, what they're not going to do. Plain and simple. You know, so like I've seen grants where they just give people the money. You just had to say what you're going to use the money for. And then you give a report. So like the grant I got for the training grant is reimbursal, but then also at the end I had to fill out a small form just saying, hey, this is what we did. This is how many people we helped out. So it really depends. And that's why I would ask the people, hey, is it reimbursement? How does this program work? You know, like, and I'll show you all this. T-Mobile has a program. T-Mobile, I forgot the name of it. Rural Communities Grant. So Hometown Grant, there you go. So T-Mobile has, now I was going to say it's forbidden. Come on, T-Mobile. They have a thing called Home Grant Program. Oh, here, let's see if this opens up. So they, you go apply for it. It's like really what they're trying to do is trying to get more internet access into rural communities. And so I know a lot of you all know people in rural communities. I do also. So I went to an event that they had and they gave out, you know, some good money. So the reason why I bring it up is that the gentleman that runs a nonprofit was like, it's great to have that big check, but where that check at? So I said, you need to ask them when they're going to give you the money. I said, that would have been the first question I had. So ask the people, when are you going to get the funding? Like, is it like, would I pay something out or do I have to perform? Because that makes you have to plan for that. So if you're going to get $10,000, $20,000 and you got to put the money out, you need to also ask them when you're going to get the money back. All right. Or they might say, listen, we're just going to give you the money. Do you have to give us a report? So I would ask that question big time, because a lot of people is like, hey, I got a grant, but I can't use the money right now. And they have plans. Or like I talk to a lot of people. I said, let's strategize around it. And maybe there's an opportunity where we could find funding so you could be able to put the money out and to get the money back. So what else?
I want to revisit something that you said earlier. You talked about the $1 building. So I know Wake County actually was selling off some of their older schools, bidding them off for $1 a couple of years back. Well, it's probably been about 20 years now. 15, 20 years back. And so what type of building was that and what is it going to be used for now?
It depends. So I know, just because I've been doing a lot of work at Henderson, they just had that a couple of years ago where they had houses and property that they were trying to sell, and they were doing auctions so they could put it back on the tax rolls. So usually that goes through like the planning department. So usually like the planning departments or the community development department might have a list, and it might, sometimes they have it going on right now, but it's not on the website.
I had the opportunity to get an REO property that way, but I was in a learning process. I don't want to tell that story, but anyway, it's another Chick-fil-A story. But anyway,
I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna put this on it for everybody. See, because you have some good questions. This is the next thing you all want to do is
Amen.
That's right.
Amen.
Execute. I'm telling you right now, what the information that I gave you, hopefully somebody's gonna execute within 30 days.
Oh, we got
all right.
Alert just now.
You just got it right. So if stop planning, y'all. Stop coming up with the great content. Just do it. Like if it's messed up, like I sent out an email the other day, and my mother-in-law was like, "Karriem, the banner's messed up." I said, "Oh, you opened up the email. Great." That's all right. I want somebody to open up the email. I want them so just execute. So I would say just try. Like if like somebody told me who's this guy? Carlton Sheets. I don't know if anybody heard of him, but when I was buying multi-family properties before, I was listening to Carlton Sheets, and he said, "I don't care, just Put offers on houses. I don't care if you want to buy it or not, Karriem. Well, that's what he was saying. He's passed away many years ago, older guy. He's like, just put offers. Execute. Somebody says, oh, you know what? You have to meet all this criteria for the grant, still put in for it. And they'll let them tell you, hey man, can you like fix this thing? You don't have enough money for the Chick-fil-A? Go to say, hey, I'm gonna sign up anyway. Figure it out, right? I would say just execute. Like with your business stuff, like you don't have enough time to do something, use the AI tool, right? I wrote a book using what's that guy named ChatGPT or something? Chat. Now there's Claude. Now there's Claude and all this other stuff, right? Right. All this. Just use it. I didn't even know that ChatGPT you could talk to it.
Oh yeah.
Man, I was in. This guy showed me that. I said, "Who are you talking to?" He said, "Oh man, that's my friend." I said,
It learns you too. The more you talk,
I'm like, what?
I'm dealing with no chat GPT. I'm tired.
What? He talked to ChatGPT like he from the hood. What's up, Doc? I was like,
you can, as we learned, what was that? At the third think tank, you can tell it about yourself.
Yeah.
It can give you answers that sound a lot more like
yeah.
the more you talk to it, the more it learns.
Yeah, so he's big in AI. The other thing I would say, writing grants, use AI. Put the grant, copy and paste everything. I've done that. Copy and paste everything in there, and then say, "Hey, can you help me write a proposal?" You just did it right.
Look,
I took a question. I put the question in there. I said, "This is a question from the grant. Can you please answer it based on this?"
Now I will say, can y'all go back and please reword it a little bit, because there's somebody
Yeah,
else who's
reword
doing
it.
the same exact thing you doing. They just gonna copy and paste, and they're gonna be like, "Hey, how is it?"
Yeah, reword it. You can reword it. You can say write it in my tone and all that stuff. So yeah, I say execute. That's if you're not executing, nothing's gonna be perfect. You know, you all say you've been to McDonald's, you've been to Chick-fil-A, you've been to Little C's, you've been to all of those places are not perfect.
Chick-fil-A closed though.
Huh? Depends on one you go to right now, but
That is true.
depends on when you go, right? But yeah, they do like Chick-fil-A. Yeah, I sent my managers when they was getting on my nerves. I said, you know what? Get out of my store. Here's some money and go sit in Chick-fil-A and write down everything you see that they're doing right.
My pleasure.
Yeah, my pleasure, right? They came back and I said that's the standard, so we need to up our game, right? So but yeah, just execute. Like it might not be all right, but just do it.